Vexes are the most important late game option for overall progression on the Neonetwork Skyblock server, making the most money per kill of any other mob, as well as being the only mob in the entire game that gives 4 skycoins per kill. Due to this, it's no surprise that the second this mob gets unlocked, the entire server's economy immediately shifts in focus. For this reason, I've seen countless player advertise their island with 20 plus Vex spawners and 10 times mob drop multiplier to new players who would like to make some quick cash or skycoins. But what if I tell you that you aren't getting anywhere close to the value you expect to be getting if you simply grind at these islands? So join me as we go over the fine details of grinding Vexes and how to make millions doing so. Now in grinding there are a lot of things to consider. When you kill a mob you gain 3 main things: drops, skycoins, and experience. Drops are the primary way of making money with this method. They can be sold for money with /sell and has many ways in which this value can be increased. Skycoins are the server's most important currency, being used for certain purchases and for island upgrades. Finally, we have experience. That can be used for a plethora of things, but find most of its use in the /enchant menu. By default, when you kill a Vex, it will automatically drop a single piece of dried kelp. Each of these pieces sell for $13 per piece. This isn't much, but the amount of items that drop and the amount they sell for can be tweaked in a multitude of ways. First is looting. Looting varies the amount of items that drop, scaling with the level of looting on your weapon by scaling the maximum drop that can be received. By using /enchant at the cost of 90k, you are able to put looting 3 on a sword, increasing the maximum drop to 3. Now yes, I said to 3, not by 3. See, based on Minecraft's wiki, looting increases the max drop per level, but with my testing I noticed that 1, looting 1 does absolutely nothing, and 2, the maximum drop I would get with base looting 3 was forever and always 3. So it's only natural for me to assume that the current code, instead of increasing the max value, sets this max value, which is important to consider. Regardless, beyond that, by using a Slayer Blade, you are actually able to get up to looting 25, which significantly increases the drops you get per kill. Now, assuming the prior established mechanic applies to the Slayer Blade's looting as well, we can assume that this max blade would now set your max drop to 25. This would now give us an average of 12.5 kelp per kill, already a massive increase over our previous one. This is the easiest and most consistent way because simply said you gain these looting levels by grinding mobs in the first place. Therefore, grinding mobs with a Slayer Blade increases your profit from grinding mobs with the Slayer Blade. From here though, it gets a tad more complicated, and this can be seen with the next variable, mob drop multiplier. Mob drop multiplier is one of the island upgrades and in theory is the most important one. Each level of mob drop multiplier increases the minimum drops that members of your island get when they kill mobs by that amount. It's important to understand how this is written separate from how it seems to be coded. See, take my current setup for example. I currently have 8 times mob drop multiplier. If I kill a mob with a weapon without looting or any other controllable bonuses, I always get 9 drops. Now I expected 8, but I assume my master was also increasing this, something that we'll get into later in the video. I mention this because when I now use a sword with looting 2, you'll notice that the variance begins. Now instead of the flat 9, I now get 9 to 10. Matching with our prior established rule for looting, this is once again proven at looting 3, where the range is now 9 to 11. This is to show that it isn't actually multiplying the drop you get, but instead is simply increasing the minimum you can get. The Slayer Blade is no exception. I currently have level 6 Slayer Blade, and as you see the mechanic stays true, giving me 9 to 14 kelp per kill, no exception. This gets very complicated, as when you consider all the other bonuses that can be applied you start to wonder. What is the bonus actually affecting? Is it affecting the minimum drop, the maximum drop, or is it actually doubling the final drop you receive? Regardless though, we know that each level of mob drop multiplier always increases the minimum drops that the members of your island get when they kill mobs by that amount. Now keep in mind how I worded that, and how I specifically didn't say that it increases the drops when mobs are killed on your island, because it doesn't. The bonus benefits you and your island members, not the island itself. This means that if you have 10 times mob drop multiplier and someone comes to your island to grind, they will not benefit from your mob drop multiplier. Alternatively, this also means that if you visit someone else's island, you will still gain benefit from your own mob drop multiplier. This is very important to consider because it means 2 things. 1, it means that you do not have to grind on your own island to make use of this. Because of this, you don't even need to buy Vexes in the first place, because you can simply visit the top islands and use their hundreds of Vexes for free with no repercussion. But this also means you have to increase the mob drop multiplier yourself. You are unable to visit another island and make use of their mob drop multiplier because it simply will not work. So please, stop putting 10 times mob drop multiplier in your island adverts or in chat, because it literally does nothing for people who are not part of your island. Thank you. I want you to know that this entire video was made simply because I wanted an excuse to let people know this due to how annoying it was for me to see. So, good news, bad news, I suppose. Next is Mastery. Mastery is effectively your island member's proficiency in grinding mobs and can be upgraded simply by grinding that specific mob while on your island. Each master has their own unique perks, but mob masteries are quite similar across the board. Each tier has their own unique benefits, increasing drops and altering sell prices, but the most crucial is tier 2, which unlocks rare drops off the mob. This is crucial because the rare drops of Vexes are Ender Eyes, one of the most expensive mob drops in the entire game with a 6% drop rate and a sell price of 2,750 per item. Effectively, this rare drop is what makes Vexes Vexes. The crucial thing is that this drop is affected by anything and everything that affects your base drop, including looting and mob drop multiplier. This means that whenever the rare drop is received, you aren't receiving one, but instead a variance between your minimum in mob drop multiplier and your maximum with looting. Furthermore, the rest of the tree is filled with insane bonuses such as doubling Vex drops and increasing the sell price of kelp. This though brings up the prior argument of what these bonuses actually mean. Are they increasing the minimum or the maximum? I have no idea. What's funny is I'm also beginning to think they actually do nothing at all. See, while testing for this video, I noticed obviously that my Vexes were given a range of 9 to 14. I then decided to test my other mobs with significantly lower mastery, and they still gave 9 to 14. Now I am very confused because, well, this makes 0 sense. If it's doubling at a 50% chance, I should be gaining, well, double. The natural assumption then is it's affecting the minimum or the maximum. I doubt it's the maximum because after 10 minutes of grinding, I assume I'd get 10 at some point, so it may be the minimum. But then you think, is 500,000 Vex skills really worth a single increase in drops? It's kind of hard to say, and when you think about it, you kind of think, why am I even grinding the mastery in the first place for such an abysmal reward? Well, you do get the increase in chance of rare drops at tier 7, which doesn't affect maximum or minimum, but instead increases the chance of dropping by some unknown amount, which by definition scales multiplicatively, therefore increasing your profit. You can also gain a 1.5 times sell on main drops at tier 5, which doesn't do anything for Ender Eyes, but also at least scales multiplicatively with kelp, so why not? Though similarly to mob drop multiplier, wording is very important. Mastery is effectively your island member's proficiency in grinding mobs and can be upgraded simply by grinding that specific mob while on your island. This means 1. Another island mastery will not affect you even if you're on their island. This is crucially important because this means if you don't have Vex tier 2, you don't get Ender Eyes, regardless of where you grind, which as I stated is crucial to grinding Vexes. Furthermore, if you have max mastery, you can simply go to someone else's island and farm their Vexes for your profit, regardless of their mastery on their island. My recommendation, and what I'm actually trying to do at the current moment, is to grind to tier 9, sell all my Vexes, and then use the Vexes on anyone's island in Island Top 10. I mean, unless you plan on spending billions of dollars, you won't have more Vexes than them anyway, so you might as well. And you can sell your currently held Vexes for a pretty decent sum of money to no detriment whatsoever. Then if possible, or if you feel like min-maxing like me, before inevitably selling your Vexes for profit, feel free to grind to tier 9, then haul yourself over to the local Juicer Island and farm their Vexes with all your built-up bonuses. Though the prior stated revelation of Mastery does bring up a new point, runes. See, runes unlock at tier 3 and allow you at a 10% chance to double the drop from Vexes, but much like Mastery, its wording is actually very misleading. See, it doesn't actually double the drop, but once again instead increases the maximum or the minimum. Regardless, since this costs Vex heads and the only other purpose for Vex heads is the Vex minion, you aren't actually losing anything from making the rune. So regardless of where you farm, you definitely want to add this rune into your rune pouch for a little extra money somewhere down the line. Now there are also a bunch of external bonuses that exist. Universal Sell Boost and Rotating Shop all increase the cost of which items can be sold for, which naturally scales multiplicatively with your bonuses. Furthermore, Colossal Armor and Multi-Kill increase the number of mobs that are killed per swing, which also scaled multiplicatively with your other drop rates. But what if I told you it didn't? See, in my test, I actually noticed that Colossal Armor and Multi-Kill are both not functioning the way they're intended, or at least not how we expect them to. Now, don't go rioting and throwing your stuff away yet, they are in fact increasing your drops, and by connection increasing your profit, but not by anywhere close to how much any of us would expect them to, something that I will get into in another video. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is the content that I love to make, and was so happy I got the opportunity to make another one like this. The last one I made was on skycoins, and that was before I learned a majority of the things I know now. For those who don't know, that video was the pinnacle of my career, and admittedly caused so much chaos that I loved. Hopefully this video, and most likely the next one, will cause even more chaos, and if not, some slight changes. Regardless, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see all you dudes another time. Laters!
Hey, we're out here, trying to get it done. Lost faith for a minute there. Working hard in the hot sun. I'm trying to keep that to myself.